cancer is a disease commonly discussed and thrown around, but what exactly is it? According to Genetics Home Reference, breast cancer occurs when certain cells in the breast become abnormal and multiply uncontrollably, forming tumors. If these tumors are not caught early, they can spread to the rest of the body. 3 of the more common proteins that contain the risk allele for breast cancer are BRCA1, BRCA2, and ATM. If these alleles contain mutations, this is when we see the disease develop and begin to spread. This disease is most commonly found in women, but men also have a slight chance of developing the disease. Therefore, using the SNP chip testing to see if you have a mutation to any of these alleles can tell you if you have an increased risk of developing breast cancer and is beneficial to everyone. The rate of women who develop breast cancer is about 1 in every 8 in the U.S. This is about 12% of all women in the U.S., said U.S. breast cancer statistics. Most women believe they inherit breast cancer from the past generations of their family, when in reality the percentage of women who develop breast cancer from genetic causes is only 5 to 10%. These 5 to 10% inherit mutation from their mother or father and have an increased risk of developing breast cancer by 69 to 72%. The majority of those who develop breast cancer find that it is based on mutations in their proteins that contain the breast cancer allele, whether it is genetically inherited, like already mentioned, or caused by environmental factors. About 85% of breast cancers occur in women who have no family history of such. This is typically due to genetic mutations that form through the aging process and environmental factors. Just a few of these environmental factors include high exposure to certain chemicals, such as triclosan, which can be found in some hand sanitizers, and pollutants such as bisphenol, which can be found in some plastic products.
About 25 different genes influence your risk of getting breast cancer. In particular, the BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes code for tumor suppressant proteins, which the National Institute of Cancer describes as proteins that help repair damaged DNA and therefore play a role in ensuring the stability of each cell's genetic material. There are about 5 different mutations that can occur in each one of these genes that can affect their ability to do their job of fighting cancer. Specifically, the BRCA1 gene, those with the genotype AG or GG in SNP RS16942 have an increased risk of developing breast cancer. Also, those with the genotype AG or GG in SNP have an increased risk of breast cancer. A genotype test could be very beneficial to you, especially if there's a history of breast cancer in your family. For example, the RS32187 OR7 SNP has the alleles A and C. The homozygous recessive version is the only version that shows the risk for breast cancer. This information can be extremely useful not only for you, but for future generations as well. Having the SNP chip test can screen you for dozens of risk-related SNPs. Although the SNPs communicate very little risk individually, the combination of these SNPs have the same relevance as other classical factors, such as family history or a mammogram test.
According to the American Cancer Society, only 5 to 10% of breast cancer cases result from genetic mutations passed on by parents. While a genetic test can indicate risk, this data should not dictate how frequently a person is professionally checked for breast cancer. Testing positively on this SNP chip test may only indicate a very small increase in risk, as each SNP being tested for is relatively harmless on its own. According to a SNPedia article on assessing familial breast cancer risk, identifying the specific causative mutations within one's family and then testing relatives for those variations is more effective than SNP testing. It is important to keep in mind that testing for these SNPs can be an emotional and financial burden. Those who test positively for an increased risk of breast cancer may take the news badly and let the anxiety consume them. Additionally, the mapping is expensive and may not even be an option to some people who do not have the money for this kind of preventative service. It may prompt expensive yearly screenings even if the person never develops the disease. However, if it were to help you to better prepare for breast cancer and catch it earlier in your life, this test can end up saving you a lot of money and heartache in the long run.